Good afternoon. I'm Polk, Deputy General Counsel here at the North Carolina Department of Public Safety. Thank you so much for joining me for DPS Storytime today. Today I'm going to be reading a book called E-mergency, which is so very cool. I'm really excited to read this book for you. And the reason why I picked the book Emergency is because I'm an attorney here in the department, and my client agency is actually the Division of Emergency Management. So you're probably wondering, why does a lawyer do work for emergency management? Well, a quick little thumbnail of what my day-to-day job is to help the division get ready for events. Of course, North Carolina is still recovering from Hurricane Helene. We've thinking about all our folks in Western North Carolina. Of course, there's also been wildfires lately. And also, of course, our folks at Eastern North Carolina are still, dealing with the impacts from storms and events in the past as well. Just recently in the fall, there was a coastal storm that impacted several counties. So what do I do as a lawyer for emergency management? So one of the most important things is help them have the resources they need and do the legal paperwork to get things like their contracts so that they have available commodities to help people with like water and, shelter, working with our local governments to make sure everybody can work together to be able to help each other, making sure that things like, help rescue efforts as far as the response activities, having, resources in place so that, if someone's home gets damaged or if they need to get rescued, making sure that our local governments and our local first responders can get the resources that they need, such as like if it's a water boat, a boat to like get people out of the floods. That was very critical during Helene. Also, doing, search and rescue whenever people may get missing, that even not only during the storm, but also people many times are going hiking in the mountains or or other places and sometimes gets lost. And so we have to make sure we have the legal agreements in place with the partners such as the National Guard, who's also in the Department of Public Safety, or the Highway Patrol can sometimes use their helicopters to go in there and pluck those people up. So those are some of the things that we do as far as a lawyer. And of course, the other big thing is you may hear about states of emergency, and many people here, the governor declares a state of emergency. I actually draft those documents for the governor and then share it with his team so that then, whenever it's time because of a, storm happens or anything, that gives the governor the legal authority to be able to respond to the events and use his emergency powers to deal with the crisis. So that can be everything from standing up the emergency management, the state emergency response team, and that's all the state agencies, including the DPS, the National Guard, our friends over at the Department of Health and Human Services. Make sure that all of us have the legal ability and authority to rescue folks or provide shelter, and also after the storm has passed, provide the tools to be able to do the recovery, because the storm incident is just a very small window. But as we all know, the long-term recovering from an event, such as we are doing now with Hurricane Helene, requires many, many efforts. And that's not only making sure people get the assistance they need as far as any cash or, the commodities or medicine to deal with the short-term impacts of the storm, but also the long-term impacts of the storm as well, making sure that their homes can get repaired, also, any benefits that they may need as far as unemployment for disasters, because many times people lose their jobs for areas when there's no power or water or infrastructure is damaged. So there's that resource there as well. So again, even though there's a lot of people who work in this effort together, whenever we're dealing with emergencies and disasters, both at the response mode, also in the recovery mode, but also in the preparedness mode. And we are always practicing making sure that whenever an event does happen, we are prepared to deal with the crisis that comes at hand. So one of the things that we do as far as from the legal standpoint is making sure that, again, we have all the resources that we need for preparedness as far as having our pre-disaster contracts in place. Contracts basically an agreement that, we hire a lot of people sometimes we don't have the resource here in the department. Sometimes we have to use our friends in the private sector to augment and supplement the resources that we have. So one of the things that we do as far as the legal counsel's office here is making sure that those contracts are legally sufficient, so that whenever we do execute them, if we don't do anything that runs contrary to law. And also we have those contracted resources in place before a disaster happens so that we can quickly respond when an event happens. So those are just some of the things that we do as lawyers in the Office of General Counsel to support the division and also to support the department and state during emergencies. So that is why I picked this book, E-mergency, written by Tom Lichtenheld and Ezra Fields-Meyer. It's a fun book, and I am looking forward to reading this book to you this afternoon. So let's go ahead and just jump right in and get started. So I love when you start the book out. It has the cast and it has the alphabet, A through Z, and of course a question mark and an exclamation mark. And then the other cast, which is the subject of this book, the letter E. So let's get started. So emergency. Look out for the author. We have the handguns here. Hope y'all can see it. So all the letters live together in a big house. And it's a very fun picture. So you got looks like they're just having fun in the pool. And I'm so glad it's summertime here because I am ready for it to be warm and be able to do what they're doing in this pool. And then, it's really cool here. Like, I love old comic books. And then another letter, me too. And then, sometimes you're such a consonant, which is so funny because it's the letter R. And then, and sometimes you're a vowel. And then I bounce back and forth. Yeah, that's, I think the letter Y. And then, hey, we want a kite too. And so, there's all the various letters in the alphabet in this very, very full house. Of course, there's, we can go through every single one. SpaghettiOs. Yeah, there's a letter O. I mean, as far as dinner. So it's a very fun, cool house. Every morning they ran downstairs to breakfast. Breakfast ahead. They ran. Chow time. I'm still sleepy. You're always sleepy. To breakfast. One morning, E came down the stairs a little too fast. Hi. Everyone came running to see what happened. E, are you okay? No. We are. Why is E on the floor? Is she exercising? Eavesdropping? Excavating? Here's where's the spot where she tripped. Of course, letter X is always like, X marks the spot. As always, A took action. J walk across the street and get the numbers so we can call 911. A, Z, wake up and go over to Punctuation's house. We're going to need more exclamation marks. So, emergency alarm. Danger, stand back. So you get the ambulance here. Ademayo, speed it up. Quite vigorously, pronto. The EMTs rush in with an IV, ready to perform CPR. This is like bringing back some memories here. Why isn't E even crying? Sometimes she's a silent E. Then they get her ready to go to the ER. She just needs some TLC and an X-ray. After the ambulance exited, A assembled the alphabet. Someone is going to have to take the place of E while she gets better. Oh, you're the obvious option because you're so well-rounded. But I'm so busy. Why can't one of the consonants help out? Don't be obnoxious, O. The consonants just speak gibberish without its vowels. A-I-O-U-B, and then it's like all these like fun, just a bunch of gibberish on the fridge. So no one can use E, including us. The gods. That's right. Starting right now, it's O instead of E. That's it. Poria. Okay. An exclamation mark made the big announcement. E is injured and can't work, so O must be used instead of E. Don't use E until show recovers, or you could inflict permanent injury. Special bulletin. D and E went to Washington to alert the U.S. government. Feels like what we're doing all the time around here. We need full government cooperation, including the OPA, the FCC, the FDIC, NASA, FOMA. Hey, hey, we can't. I know that agency. Well, at least it used to know it. And OSHA. Everybody must follow our instructions about the locked door to the locked door. This wasn't be busy. And the rest of the letters talked it up on the talk shows. How are you guys doing without your friend? Well, O couldn't be Bo or because he's too busy filling in for E. But though most of us soon to be bored doing just fine. Guess what I am? Look at Mo. I'm on TV, the O show. Hi, Mom. I have O to go to the bathroom. Again, you two shouldn't sit together. O did its best filling in for E, but the results, as you can see, were quite confusing. Daily nows. Man bites dog. Big throw falls on Sony car. VIP bowel hurt. Recovery slowly. Football tone wins big gamed. So yeah, it's just very, very crazy here. Roosevelt Elementary School. Welcome studentos. Spolling toast today. PTO meeting. Ooh. Today, of course, we have the Cathoratoria. So it's very, very confusing, as you can see. Spod limit 30. And this just goes on and on. Important lotor hurt. O does double O duty. Targo. Acmo sun. I mean, it's just, yeah, the world is just really, really crazy at this point. Got wool soon. To make matters worse, E wasn't getting better. The MDs couldn't figure out why. Woe did all sorts of tests, including an MRI, a CAT scan, and an OKG. Or temporal is fino, but shows still not ready to go back to work. Why, oh why isn't our buddy getting better? A decided to make a trip to spread the word about the letter. I am ready to roam. I'm on board. Pack your bags, Lortors. It's time for a journey. I'm delighted. I'm taking it off. I'm working out a plan. I'm in. I'm pocked. I'm excited. They traveled near. Don't worry, guys. It's temporary. Mount Rushmore National Monument. Grondo Canyon. Stay back from Ogode. It just doesn't have the same old ring to it, does it? Liberty Ball. And then, of course, you can see around the world, it's like, Ni-I-O, Igna-E, Ni-C-E. I mean, everywhere and far. So they went everywhere around the globe trying to get help for E. When they got home, E still wasn't recovered. Whoa, boon, Port Patriot, but our compatriot is still ill. The letters had a problem. Someone is disobeying our Lauter law. Wait, I think I know who the culprit is. Hey, now, Lauter, stop using our bod-ridden buddy right now. So, though last poor person using you-know-who stopped. That's Botter. Quick as a wink, show was out of bod and ready to go back to work. Just in time-o for the end. I really enjoyed that. Hope you did too. Look, everybody, it's an ebook too, so make sure you go to your local library and check out books. I love reading. It just opens the world to so many things. So, if you don't have a library card, make sure you get one. Also, if you do have a library card, I know you have your little devices and stuff. There's like e-readers and stuff and Kindles. So however you can read, get opportunities to go to the library, read books, use the opportunity to do so. It does open up the world to so many things. Really enjoyed this being with you this afternoon, and I hope to be able to do it again. But until then, take care, and you probably saw the Star Trek in my back of my room. Live long and prosper.